Impeachment trial may be over, but today, a new civil lawsuit takes aim at former President Trump for his involvement in that January 6th riot at the Capitol. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas and our senior editorial producer John Santucci both join us with the latest. Welcome to you both. Pierre, this lawsuit today is filed by Congressman Benny Thompson, who's the House Homeland Security Committee chairman, and joined by the NAACP, alleges that Trump, his attorney Rudy Giuliani, the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, those far-right groups, conspired to violate a law from 1871 called the Ku Klux Klan Act. So what does that law entail, and what's the accusation here?
Well, that's just been a long time since that law has been used, as far as we can tell, Terry. And basically, the law makes it illegal for groups to essentially try to block Congress from carrying out its duties. And essentially, Congressman Thompson and the NAACP is making that claim that this act, the insurrection, if you will, was aimed at blocking the certification of Joe Biden as the president of the United States, to block Congress from doing its constitutional duty. And they're making this claim, and they're actually going the civil route to try to hold President Trump, his attorney Rudy Giuliani, accountable, and some of these militia organizations like the Oath Keepers who were involved.
And that law written to address the rampaging Ku Klux Klan that was trying to block black lawmakers in the 19th century from doing their job. It's a sign of the times. That's where we are. So tonight, Pierre and John, you're both featured in our new ABC News special, airing on Hulu. It takes the viewers through the final chapter of Trump's presidency, showing that the Senate trial from multiple perspectives. Here's a preview.
As the weeks have gone by, the charges have gotten more serious: conspiracy to obstruct government activity, in this case, the actions of Congress. There have been other felony charges, some carrying penalties as much as 20 years.
Trump is now acquitted, but you have his supporters accused of breaking into the Capitol. They are going to face significant consequences.
I thought I was following my president. I thought I was following what we were called to do.
Jacob Chansley is the man that left a note on Vice President Mike Pence's desk.
It's only a matter of time. Justice is coming.
By January 6th, my client was heeding the president's call to save our nation.
Dominic Pizzola, otherwise known as Spazo, a member of the Proud Boys.
He's charged with conspiracy, destruction of property, and basically interfering with Congress. They were misled. They were duped. The whole stop the steal. Mr. Pizzola, along with thousands of other people, bought that. They went to the Capitol in response to the requests, the instructions. You could almost call them the orders of Donald Trump.
This defense that some of these idiots have put forward, saying that President Trump was urging them to go and engage in any aspect of unlawful activity, is absolutely absurd.
The president told you to do it, but that didn't mean you had to do it. He incited your worst fears and your hatred, but that's your hatred. And that's your fear that caused you to betray your country.
That's our doc on Hulu right now. John, let me go to you. We actually hear from some of Trump's supporters in this who were involved in the insurrectionist attack that day. What's the takeaway there?
Well, Terry, we speak to people that went to the rally on January 6th, heard President Trump's speech, and then they actually joined the crowd that was heading up to the Capitol. However, the people we're talking to, Terry, support President Trump but didn't enter the Capitol. They actually took a few steps back and said, this seems like it's getting out of hand. And they don't blame President Trump for the actions that happened on January 6th. Most of them still support the president and say that if he was to run again in 2024, they would indeed be in his corner. But it's interesting to hear from other people on the ground, Terry, as we learned over the weekend in that new report from the Wall Street Journal, that there were many people there that didn't have bad intentions, but we've obviously seen the damage and death that was caused by those individuals that did infiltrate the Capitol and had a lot of bad intentions, as we saw played out in the video in that Senate trial.
And the story of every mob in history is people who didn't have bad intentions get caught up and do bad things. But let me ask you, one of the things we saw during the trial, and that this documentary explores, is some of that surveillance footage that had never been seen before. What's that like?
You know, Terry, as we saw it play out in the trial, and more of it that we dig into our special that's live right now on Hulu, you actually get a sense of that bird's eye view of what was happening. You know, so many people with their cell phone videos capture some angles of it, but we explore more of what was happening to the members. Senator Mitt Romney running down a hall and being ushered by Officer Eugene Goodman as the mob was coming down the same hallway. We see video of Leader Chuck Schumer, who was heading down one hall, but quickly was turned around by his security detail because they were also about to come in touch with the mob. And the footage, Terry, that we saw in the trial, but I think we really do a good job in this special tonight of unpacking it, is what was happening in Nancy Pelosi's office. We know the speaker was safely evacuated, but her staff, unfortunately, didn't have time to get out. They hide in a closet, barricading the doors, and we see just 7 minutes, Terry, after they barricade themselves in, the mob enters Nancy Pelosi's office. It is incredibly frightening.
And Pierre, we mentioned that President Biden would support the creation of a 9/11 style commission to further investigate the attack on the Capitol. So what are the outstanding questions to be explored? And do you think a commission is the right place, or, as was done with Watergate and Pearl Harbor and so many other major moments in our history, the congressional commission might work?
Well, it's clear that there are a lot of outstanding, very specific details that we don't have all the answers to. Exactly. What was all of the intelligence that law enforcement had available to it? How much of it was made available to the Capitol Police? Exactly what did they do with the intelligence? How forceful, for example, was the FBI in making the case that, hey, you could have armed insurrectionists show up and try to attack the Capitol? Why weren't there more people on the outside of the building? Why wasn't there more physical security on the outside? And obviously, there are a lot more questions, quite frankly, about what was going on at the White House. What did the president do in the interim? How much pressure was put on him to call in the National Guard? Was he asked specifically about calling in the National Guard? Lots of details to be unpacked. And the commission, what the speaker seems to be doing, and it'll be interesting to see, is just how bipartisan will this be? You have to have Congress approve of this measure. The president would have to sign it. And what she may be trying to do is get some independent, nonpartisan people who will go just for the facts.
All right. And John, we have yet to hear from former President Trump. Since his acquittal, what do we expect that to happen?
Well, Terry, you know, someone in this documentary, in addition to Pierre and I, says a line that don't count Donald Trump out. He might just be back soon enough. And I think his name's Terry Moran. And that's sort of the message of this, Terry. We don't think he's gone just yet, but our sources are telling us that President Trump is actually going to be quieter longer than we'd expect. He's obviously, as you point out, been quiet for the last several weeks. We haven't seen or heard from him. There were rumors that the president was going to do some type of a press conference celebrating his vindication, as some people around him have called it, being acquitted by the Senate. But for the moment, Terry, I don't think we're going to see former President Trump for quite some time.
I think you're right for what it's worth. He's biding his time, picking and choosing his spot to reemerge. I think he's going to be with us for a while. Our thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.